Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ACCIN series forum on the question of interreligious harmony in Malaysia. The big question is it on an uptrend? In the spirit of the World Interfaith Harmony Week celebrated around the world on the first week of February, ACCIN is organizing this forum for us to discuss and try to look at issues, dissect issues, and look at possible solutions that we can put forward. And we need to understand the situation. I think we all do. We need to do some problem identification and suggest some solutions for the night. We have three distinguished panels. Our dear friends, teachers with many years of practical experience in interfaith relations enhancement, not only in Malaysia but also in overseas. Also have Prof Mansor from Ethnic Analysis Kepada in Kita UKM, and our distinguished panel should be able to discuss the issue with clarity and objectivity. Panel number one, ladies and gentlemen, before that we thank all participants, those who have attending and are going to attend and see the video of this webinar ataupun online forum. We thank you for allocating some of your precious time for a discussion of a topic that I think is important for all of us. It's important for the country. It's important for the religious, interreligious ataupun interreligious adherence in Malaysia. And panel number one is well-known Dr. Amir Farid. I think everybody knows him, a 30-year veteran in interfaith activity, chairman of INSAF, the interfaith body, and a senior member of JKMPKA since its inception. All the panel members and some of the members who are watching are members of the JKMPKA, which is now has not been active after its closure on December 31st, 2019. The new committee has not been formed yet. Panel two, Professor Suresh is also a former member of JKMPKA. A professor of medicine, parasitology, University of Malaya. So all parasites, be careful. By career, and he is coordinator of the Interfaith Friendship Group FGIS, chairman of Yayasan Perpaduan Malaysia, and past JKMPKA member. I remember about 6 years ago, where FGIS had a theatre production in the Palace of Golden Horses, where there was about 800 people watching. It was a fantastic show which depicted life in Malaysia and the importance of interfaith, interreligious harmony and understanding. Fantastic effort. I hope we can revive it again, Prof.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, the third panel, Professor Dr. Mansor, Research Associate Fellow at the Institute of Ethnic Studies, Kita UKM. I think we all know him very well. We learned a lot from him. And he is also the cluster head of National Unity Council of Malaysian Professors. Except the word cluster ni sekarang ni sensitive, Prof. Cluster. So Kalau jadi cluster head of national unity tu tak apalah ya. So this is apa ni? Prof Mansor lah with we have been with him in JKMPKA for 2 terms, and it was really an eye opener that we learn, especially from very senior members and more committed to being people of peace. The questions that we're going to look at today, generally is interreligious harmony on an uptrend? The second question is why or why not? And the third one is, what are the reasons for this position that we are in now? And fourthly, how do we move forward to improve? Yeah? This is a general opening. And I would say personally, even in our discussion with our friends over the years, interfaith, interreligious relationship in Malaysia is by and large harmonious, in my view. Peace and prosperity has been maintained for years. Yeah? We are peaceful. Our leaders over time were conscious and worked hard to maintain harmony and understanding between the different races and religious adherents. And there is no other way than the way of peace. And it is something that we have to work. Harmony does not come automatically. It needs constant work and effort from all parties. The government, politicians, public, religious and civil society leaders, everyone role in bringing peace and harmony among society. And the guiding light of it is guiding light of all this is the federal constitution and respect for the rule of law. I think this is important. And briefly, I would like to repeat what Tun Mahathir has said before. Everyone, every race, every religious adherent is grumbling a bit, then it means that the government has been fair to all, fair to its best ability. Yeah. So if one race is very happy, the others is very upset, then something is not right. But if everybody is grumbling a bit here and there, then I think things are good. And this, I think all of us are very widely traveled, and we're comparing with so many places. Yeah, I've lived in the United States for 4 years. In New York, in UK, and when all over, I'm sure all of us have that wide experience. So that is based on this exposure and experience. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we will start today's discourse by calling on Dr. Farid to address the issue or question, is religious harmony on an uptrend in this?
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. As Brother Jamal said, if you look around, you will see that everything is quite all right. But I believe that if we were to look not as nice as we would like it to be. I propose that we look at the subject. I think at the society in different compartments, meaning, for example, among the panelists here, well, we all lovey-dovey, we all brothers, we all, very friendly. So we also, therefore, have a tendency to feel that things are more okay than it really is, because we're not part of the society that are not having this kind of our fellow brothers and sisters of the different religions. So it would be good afterwards when we get to see the actual the statistics or what the study shows. When Prof Mansor showed us what he had found through his research, for example. right? But research is one thing. So research also does survey and goes to certain compartments of society. So we look into say what is happening to our children in the kindergartens and primary school, and then as they grow up, what happens to them? Right? Well, is there mixing and good relationship between children of different religions at school? Then what happens to them as they go to tertiary level? What happens to them when they go to outside into the adult world, where they work, where they engage in business, and when they engage in politics, for example? Right. So there's a lot of different dynamics. Yeah, and I believe the level of harmony is not the same if you look at the different levels. So that's one. Number two, we also want to compare harmony now with the past, right? We always have to look at the past, not for something to continue to grumble about if it's not good. But we will never know what is progress if we don't have a benchmark to look at. Time in the past where the harmony, interreligious harmony was maximal, then that would be our benchmark. We should at least aim for that again. If there was never a time in the past that the harmony is as good as now, then we look to the future without any other benchmark. We just aim for the best. So I think while it is good to feel that everything seems to be okay, I think we also need to do a reality check. In the past, there was no social media, right? So all of us get the impression of what's happening from the interactions that we have and from what we read in the newspapers. And the newspapers only write things that they are allowed to write. Now we have the social media where everyone can write anything they want to write. They can express their real feelings, right? Sometimes they get into trouble, sometimes they don't. But if you look at the exchanges in some of the groups or whatever that are available, then you know that things are not as nice as we would like it to be. It so happens, for example, I happen to be in some groups that sometimes the other members that forget that there's a Malay here or a Malay stroke Muslim here, okay? Because I'm the only one. For a long time, I'm just there, keeping quiet, never send any post, but they put me inside there. I'm there, but I get to know, right? So when people of different races and religions are together with others, they tend to speak what is politically correct. Among themselves, then the story may be different. Okay? So that gives a different perspective that maybe even the research of Prof. Mansor would show up, I do not know. I think that's enough for a start. I'm really looking forward to Prof. Mansor's slides. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amir Farid. Very interesting issue we have brought out media, you know. I also look at some of the comments, and it's just mind-boggling, you know. A lot of it is I'm not sure whether I should call it irascible, or is it a place for them to vent their frustration? I'm not sure, but it is pretty pretty bad. Yeah? It happened to us. We had regarding alcohol consumption, where we did a letter. I sent a letter to New Straits Times, and then they put a picture with the letter from my good self, and in that picture there was an Indian man with a bag coming out of the provision shop. Alcohol consumption. And New Straits Times was shocked when their Facebook exploded with more than 800 800, 900 negative comments against everything about New Straits Time and also the establishment. It forced New Straits Time to pull back the picture, apologize, and change the picture. In the online, it was printed. The printed was too late, but on the online, they replaced it. And after the apology and replacement, kena hantam lagi 900 people, about 900 comments and very angry comments. So decided to also put a comment that said, please be civilized. Try to understand and try to empathize. So that is something that is very interesting. Dr. Suresh, what is your view with your 20, 30 years experience in interfaith relationship work?
Thank you, Ajit. Thank you, and thank you all the panel speakers. I'm very extremely honored and privileged to be in the same room as all of you. Really, in the last many years of our attempt to promote interreligious harmony through the Friendship Group for Interreligious Service. This is a group of people who members are from ABIM, Angkatan Belia Islam, representing Islam, Buddhist Mahavira, representing the Buddhist religion, Gurudwara Council, Hindu Sangam, as well as the Council of Churches, Wilaya. These are the friends that we have. The or the secretariat was played by the Satisai International Organization, and all of us worked very well for the last so many years, trying to do our bit towards promoting interreligious service. We have organized medical camps in very poor areas. You see, the interreligious harmony is not about just sitting in a room and discussing, okay, what is the best thing to do, what are the values in the religion and all that. That's one dimension, but if people just got together and did this. This is the founding member, Brother Dato' Jagadisan. Idea was really to bring all these various people and deploy them to the field of service and get people to see that religious people can come together and work for a common good. So we went to very rural villages and deployed medical camps. And one of the amazing thing was that they pasted on their shirt. What they pasted was the religion, not the name, but the religion. So they saw that Hindu and Christian and Muslim all were doctors and specialists were coming together to give service and help to everybody else. So what is the benefit of this is that not only they were working together, but they were promoting a consciousness that people from different religious groups can actually work together. So we've been doing this for so many years now. So after the service aspects and after Gotong Royong, flood and disaster, everybody comes together and do this. Then we started to work together for example, issues like drugs, for example. Now today in universities and colleges and all that, there are many such social issues, and we don't want our children to be affected by this. So we initiated a program called DARTS. DARTS means drugs, alcohol, relationship issue, time wastage, and smoking. And the last session we had was 73 volunteers from the FGIS, comprised of youth from various religious groups, came in and trained 3,300 university students. Every orientation program in the University of Malaya, we used to invite our FGIS members who will come and train them. So far, we have trained about 13,000 students. And what was exciting is that they came inside, trained them, and then these students would jump in buses and go and train school students. So we trained, we actually did reach out to about 2,000-3,000 secondary school students done by university students. All this is by, in other words, it is not about the harmony. What is the consequence of the harmony to the community? I think this is what we were demonstrating. Okay, so we all came together, we are good. So what is good people and good people when you come together? We should become better people. So this is the idea. So we demonstrated that and it was amazing. Just now Haji mentioned that the play that they saw. That when we did a play, we have been staging plays all over, dramas and all that. And what we did was when you bring many people of religious faiths coming together, and acting rehearsals. We have to rehearse. And when we rehearse, we have to know each other. We have got to know each other. So in that process, that's harmony, creation of harmony. We've got an interfaith orchestra, where religious people from various backgrounds came with different musical instruments, and we have a interfaith harmony orchestra, interfaith choir. So these are all various diverse people with diverse talents brought together to create the promotion of harmony. We have been doing this for the last 30 years. Is it an upward trend? This is the question that you asked. Is it an upward trend? I would like to think so. I would like to think that more and more younger people actually want to. I think the problem here is that people are insecure, number one, insecure. If you're confident of your religion, you will want to know what's the other side. If you're not confident of your own religion, I think you may not know. The whole idea why people misunderstand is because there's no understanding. If we take the attempts to understand, hey, why these people are doing like that? Hey, why people are doing? You come to understand. Doesn't necessarily mean that you need to convert. But if you just appreciate the diversities that is happening, that's the only way you can become one Malaysia, as what they all say, or come together as Malaysians. You need to know what the neighbors are doing for Chinese New Year. You need to know these things. We cannot be sitting in a nutshell and imagining, oh, there's something. So when you start imagining, then you will think all these are superstitious traditions that are followed all these years. Really, if you love someone, you need to know what his belief is. And if you know and appreciate that belief, then you respect that belief, respect people's belief, and then you'll have no fear. The whole idea Malaysia has, and which has been doing so well in all these years, is to really bring this subject in the various universities and colleges, not only that, but in schools as well, make people sensitized to the various cultures and traditions of our people, expose all these things that they are all not alien, and then in that manner, cultivate that kind of beauty and value, which we in the FGIS, the members, have actually enjoy our membership. For example, in terms of puasa, bulan puasa, the Muslims break the fast in the mosque, and through Angkatan Belia Islam Malaysia, we were invited to go, and we break the fast in the mosque also. So we bring busloads of non-Muslims into the mosque, and we join the prayers. We join with the prayers, and the Imam also came and joined us, invited us. And one day the Imam also had they all served vegetarian meal at the mosque for all of us, and we all ate together. And for the first time, we were able to appreciate the amazing beauty and glory of Islam and the religion, but non-Muslims were able to see the wonder, the architectural space, because outside we can only hear the voices from outside, but this time we were able to see inside. So why does this happen? It's because of friendship. It's because of the fact that we trust each other. So I think, if you really ask me, the younger people will want to explore. But so when the younger people are wanting to explore and we start to curb and curtail, I think they will not be encouraging. So it is an upward trend. People want to know, but we must expose them in the right manner and create this harmony. So because in that way, a beautiful multiracial and multi-religious society can grow and thrive in the kind of country that we all live in. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Suresh. I think it's getting interesting now. Dr. Amir is saying that maybe there's a question on whether it's really uptrend. It's probably because of social media and this unfettered uncontrolled exchanges and feelings and then different certain policies that we have in place. In us needing to go back to the benchmark, the best of the past, yeah. And then Dr. Suresh is saying, okay, being a diplomat, he says, okay, it's on the uptrend. Prof. Mansor, you have to cast the final vote. Is it on an uptrend? Please. We're looking forward to your data. Prof, silakan. Your microphone, Prof. Okay. Microphone.
Okay, got it. Okay, while my daughter set up my presentation, I think what Dr. Amir has been talking and what Prof. Suresh has been talking, actually, my data are showing exactly what you are voicing. I mean, the goodness is there, the good relation is there, the tumbling is also there. But I think let me show the data so that we can interpret from there and see what really happened. Because I think the most important thing is not knowing did it happen or not, what are the patterns that happen, but basically is to understand why it is so. Okay. Okay. Beautiful slide from Apple. I show you the data. Studies that have been studies when we ask university student and also community how would they place ethnic identity. See, Malaysian, be it Malay, Chinese, or Indian, we do place great importance on our identity as a Malay, Chinese, Indian. Okay, and then in terms of religion, also very Malay and Indian are very, the percentages are high compared to Chinese, but obviously Malaysian is a society that is racialized, not racism, not racist. The way we organize our society is based on ethnic and religion. I think we need to differentiate between racist and racism. How you are socially organized based on that dimension. That is part and parcel of our identity as bangsa Malaysia. Okay, this is, I think this slide I want to show you a little bit longer because look at the dotted black, the dotted black line. My studies in 1990 until 2020 indicate that the dotted black line is very positive, which means that our Malaysian, irrespective of ethnic, be it Sabahan, Kedazan, or Iban, or Chinese, Indian, we do not really place primary importance to ethnic and religion. That's why we can develop a relationship across ethnic and religious line. Our relationship is not vertical; it's horizontal, it's cross-cutting, and that gives the socially differentiated society. And then when we are preparing for the National Unity report, Malaysians are very proud of their diversity, of their cultural and religious diversity, because to them, these are considered as assets. With that as my general conclusion, I would say that interreligious prevail in Malaysia, and that but then interreligious harmony is often intertwined with good ethnic relation. So if good ethnic relation spiral downward, that might affect religious harmony. Okay, that one. But one thing I noticed, often that I'll show the data later on. Often religious and ethnic harmony are disturbed because we over-politicize the ethnic and religious dimension, especially by political parties, by GNO, and even on the social medias. And then this is the problematic that we need to look. And then data indicate clearly. This is my data. The earlier data indicate the positive. That ethnic, we Malaysians are not really concerned about ethnic differences. But what I'm showing here is that based on 3 dimensions, Malay, and I'm taking the Malay and Chinese because it's rather difficult for me to show every ethnic grouping over there. Just to show, see, the Malay and Chinese, in Malaysia, we notice that we have developed cross-cutting relationship, convergent and parallel norm, you see, norm among us. But one thing I noticed is that, look at the when the graph fall, 1995, 2001, and then look at 2013, look at 2018. One thing we noticed, every time there is election, there is political campaign, we get frightened of the ethnic and religions of others. And I think this data indicate clearly that we Malaysian, same with this dimension, show the same thing. The fault is always during election time, when there are political campaign that mobilize ethnic and religion to get influence and vote. Same, this data also the same. At the moment there's election, there are political campaigning, they threaten one another. Like they say when UMNO and PAS muafakat, they say what? Oh, there'll be Taliban. There'll be a threat to the Namli. I think this kind of statement really a game played by a politician. And I think based on the data, we should look at this matter seriously, because this must be stopped. Okay, I think I end my discussion there for the next round. Thanks.
Thank you. Terima kasih. I think something that's very revealing in terms of data, where during the elections, you can see the drop in harmony. That's fantastic. I mean, I've not really seen that in terms of data, but we know at that time everything comes out. Everybody is a hero, is a hero for every group that they want something from them. And I don't know, Prof. Mansor, you were saying we need to stop. How do we stop this?
We go the third question. leave that for the third question.
Okay, good. No, because if you can answer it, why not? Okay. So maybe Dato' Damaratna, can you comment sikit, Dato'? A quick comment on the discussion so far. If you can give your views and this.
Very good evening to all the brothers and sisters. And as we discussed just now, I also observe and with the. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So
yes,
especially come to the COVID-19, I think whole world, society has changed. We come very closer with the social media, with modern technology. And during our generation, we managed to interact each other physically. Now, unfortunately, that physically meeting is getting far and far away. But at the same time, we use everything during our time all manually. But now everything is the modern technology. Who are the people are using? Younger generation. So because of the social media, because of the modern technology, I'm very sorry to say, most of our younger generations, their spiritual feeling fading away, and family feeling fading away. They are actually either, I say, God or whatever, everything are just limited to handphone. From here, everything is here. And of course, when we go to Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever, there are some truth, some untruth, and certain information people are misleading, and so therefore it has been changing very fast. And when time to come, I think we don't have any more questions at this moment we are facing religious harmony not there, racial harmony not there. I think this younger generation, I don't think they believe all these things. They will be everybody like human being. So, but this is our duty. Our duty to plant the seed for them to guide while we are living at this moment. So therefore, this is the time for us to, it's changing time. So the society has been changing time. So what we have to do, slowly we have to plant the seed into next generation. At least we must show them our culture, our tradition, our religion. All this actually give us understanding about the society. So if we have the religion, there are some guidelines. All the religion, religious people, religious teachers, all, they show us, teach us, preach us to do good things. And nobody is actually teach and preach all the negativity. But of course, in between, there will be some rotten apple. So, but we have to, sorry to say, we have to ignore them, and just we must go forward to build up healthy society for future. So therefore, this is the high time for us to build up a strong platform for next generation. If we can build up a strong platform for the next generation, I think there will be a beautiful society we will be able to build for the future, for our great-grandchildren. They will be able to associate together as a one family. So, as my brother, Dr. Amir Farid, as well as Professor Suresh and our professor, so everybody, we are trying our best. Why are we wasting now time? This is our duty. We must come forward for future. Instead of they are going for wrong way. So, therefore, I hope we will be able to build up healthy society for future. At this moment, we must plan properly and give them a guideline. Otherwise, last 20, 30 years, every time see Dr. Amir Farid and all our brothers and sisters, we are working together, traveling together, we are doing everything together. We can understand. But as I mentioned to you earlier, in between some rotten apples appeared. So unfortunately, they try to highlight, oh, it's a racial issue, religion issue. So therefore, what we have to do is, this kind of happening, we just ignore. We should not go face-to-face attack this way, that way. Just ignore. After some time, we'll slow down, cool down. But we continue our journey with the sincere heart, with the strong confidence. We will be able to reach our target to build up healthy and peaceful society and harmonious society for future. I think that's more than enough. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dato'. Very good insight. So, Dr. Amir, I mean, we heard from Dato' also. It's how do we arrest, according to him, because of the new world, the new social, the media, the way we interact, the unfettered freedom that we have to express our frustration, anger, you know, without any control. And spirituality is on a downtrend, a serious downtrend, according to Dato? How do we arrest it and how do we improve it?
If I have the solution, I'll be the next Prime Minister. Okay, I just can offer this insight that in my view, if we ever want to try to solve and improve the situation, we really have to what are the problems and the solutions. Tell you with the problems in terms of exactly what to do. There's a lot of thinking and brainstorming that needs to be done, because it's not easy. You want to change a whole nation's culture and thinking to become more tolerant, respectful, and loving to each other. It's not going to happen overnight. But first, we need to identify who are the people we need to change, desperately need to change. So for me, the most important group are the political leaders. All right, and I'm justified when seeing the data brought by Prof. Mansor, how during election time they can change, right? They can change the feelings, the thinking of the entire nation to become, the graph go like bing bong like that, right? So the first target are the political leaders, because not only they influence us, they determine the direction of the country. You have leaders, would like to cause the people to fight one another. We will be fighting one another, right? We have leaders, political leaders who are peace-loving. We will be more peace-loving. So that's one. I'm just saying that, yeah, that's a problem, and the solution is we have to tackle them. How? There's all the people, the good-hearted people have to come together and think, how do we change these politicians? The religious leaders and the religious institutions and the religious NGOs, right? Anything, any people, any group claiming to be active in religion, they must take also on the politicians, because the politicians, by their nature, their priority is what is expedient, politically expedient to them. What is the political gain? It's necessary come up with fatwa to justify what they want. The religious, the sincere religious people, the religious leaders, religious activists. I hope we're not the same as the leaders. We really want goodness and peace, right? So if they should be the ones who change the nation, but they have defaulted on their responsibility, we have to take charge. We have to move the nation. We have to change and to become tolerant, loving, respectful, and helpful to each other. Then the next is the civil society at large, right? All the others who may not think about religion per se, but they have to be influenced and to be tolerant, and respectful. It is okay to be of different religions and to be respectful and loving with one another. We have no choice. We have to live in peace and harmony and prosper together. Right? And the fourth and last is the most important group: the youth and the students. Okay, because we're trying to change the politicians who are already set in the mindset. We're trying to change the adults that's already changed. It's very difficult to change people who are already set in their ways. We can change their thinking, right? From small, we can mold them to be respectful and tolerant of other religions. Then we have hope for the future. Not enough of such education and guidance were given when the older generation, when they were young. Right? From young, they train the children to be respectful, to be sincere, to be hardworking, to be respectful of cleanliness. You know, you know how disciplined they are. Right? So it is said that if you lose your handphone or wallet anywhere in Japan, don't worry, it'll be there. Sure, even though you don't lose it, you don't leave it somewhere, they'll take it from your pocket. You don't have to even leave it. They'll take it from your pocket. That's the difference. So that's what I see. We have to tackle the politician more difficult, and then us and therefore we have to go to the forefront and reach out to each other and establish this harmonious society. Then thirdly, then we reach out to the society at large, because the numbers are huge. We can change them, that'll be for the better. And lastly, don't forget, is our children. We have to make sure that they don't grow up to become like the present generation, and you know, of being less tolerant than. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Excellent, Amir. Just to reconfirm, what was your third point just now? Your fourth is the youth. The third point was?
Okay, the civil society.
Civil society, yeah? That's the third. So religious leaders, NGO is the second one.
Yes.
Yeah? So the third one is?
The second one is everything religious, meaning the religious leaders, religious institutions,
yes,
religious NGOs,
yes,
like ACCIN. All right?
Yeah,
and
the third one?
The one have a religious label, part of society. They,
okay.
They also, right. All right? If they also don't espouse, this concept, then we still fail, because they are a huge part of society.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Suresh, I'm going to give you a tough question because you have been diplomatic tonight. The question that we have been seeing, yeah, in one of a seminar a few years back, woke up, I remember, and he was saying the two key issues to disharmony in Malaysia. Sorry if I say this, yeah. One is the politicians and leaders of society, expedient requirements and needs, that anything is, we have seen the proof. And the second thing is separate schooling systems, where you have a whole society, whole generation studying and living separately. In school, if they do meet, are different, you know, chicken and duck, ikan apa, itik dengan ayam dah. So this is, according to him, and I mean a lot of people agree with, that is one of the core issues that impact our harmony or muhibbah in the country, compared to last time when we were studying and playing together, yeah, most of the time. But now, what do you think about it, Prof?
Firstly, I'd like to echo all what Dr. Amir has said. I think many of the, not many, all the points that Dr. Amir has said is really very valid. The question that you have asked with regarding to this aliran, yeah, China, Tamil, Indian, Chinese schools and all that. But don't forget, at this present moment, there are many non-Chinese students also studying in Chinese schools. Many Indians are going to study in Chinese schools. Many Malays are studying in Chinese schools. So the question is, it's not about ethnicity anymore. I think it's largely about the quality of education. That is what people are looking for. In recent years, you can see the sprouting of international schools. Like anything, everybody is having, the whole number of the international schools have sprouted. People are working 2 times hard, morning and evening, and then again work another time to send their children to this expensive international school. Not because they want to send, it's because they are very, very wanting to assure that the children get the best education. So Yes, the consequence of that is possibly a greater sense of polarization. But the real answer to this is to enhance and increase the effectiveness of education itself, to which parents therefore become comfortable. In fact, I did mention there's no reason for us to go to Finland to see how their studies, research is being done, how education system there is so fantastic. I think even among us, there are many schools that are really very good. You just do a research on those schools. What is it that makes those schools excellent? Find those things out and then make that more pervasive. I think more and more people will start coming back, or more children will come back towards common schools. Second point is that even in the universities, if you go and look at it, by the time you can know, Prof. Mansor is also in the universities, you can check. You can go in a canteen and see whether you take a camera and see whether there are Malay, Chinese, Indians actually sitting down in one table and having a meal. It doesn't happen, you know. You find most people will become ethnic conscious, and they start going in towards their own respective social fit and be comfortable there. So the thing is, like when I do my lectures, sometimes when I do problem-based learning, and if I see everybody clumping together, grouping together according to the race, I say, hey, why don't you all mix up, lah? Let's. So it makes the class. I make them become aware and mix the class up. The reason being because people sometimes are not conscious, and so as teachers and mentors, we should make the class sensitive enough to make sure that they become comfortable. So this is our role. Our role in society is, generally the tendency is going towards that. We should be the leaders, as what Dr. Amir said, political leaders, whereas religious leaders. Everybody must become socially conscious that we should not get back again into a cultural fit like that. We should be able to be brave enough to know and accommodate. That is our role. We should do that. And now from Prof. Mansur's research shows what? Shows that we are strong in ethnicity and strong in religiosity, which means what? Which means our tree is very strong, our roots are very strong. But that does not mean the branch cannot go tall and lean and enjoy the fragrance and beauty of other cultures also. That's what the greatness is. You see, because the roots are strong, that's why we can do that. So we are fundamentally very strong, and that is why interreligious harmony can become a reality. But we must make it a reality. Why we must make it a reality? It's very simple. Because all religious leaders must understand one truth. If you don't make your roots strong, as what Dr. mentioned, the wind of change is fast sweeping now. This is the glaring reality. Your technology has really taken over. The future in 30 years from now, the children then will not be like the children now. We are fast losing our roots. We are fast losing our identity. So the winds of change are fast moving. All religious leaders must understand. All NGO leaders must understand. All political leaders must understand. This is the time we must come together. To withstand this great change, there is a need for unity. There is a need for us to place a common agenda, for us to protect our children of the future. How we do this? We must sensitize them. We must make them force. No, really speaking, I always tell people, it doesn't matter what you believe in, but most important is what is the consequence of your belief. See, we don't care what you believe in, but what is the consequence of your belief? That is what that matters. What is the point? You can go and visit all these places of prayer, but if you're not consistent in your work, you do not have passion in your work, you do not have vision in your work, and what is the point of that religion then? The religion must make you a fantastic, confident, incredible person, which you are able to manage all your problems. That is the lesson that we must teach our youngsters. Religion will enable us to make us a better human being. Doesn't matter which religion, but that is what we must now do. If you don't do this in this manner, the youngsters will lose the roots, and I'm telling you, the wind will blow the tree away. There's no roots then. This is the crisis in many other countries are facing now. That's why drug problems, every other issues are rising up, and freedom is too liberal. You find that the identity is missing. So there's nothing wrong in having the schools, coming back to Ajay's question, nothing wrong with having the schools, but we must now look back at our own common educational system. Are we preparing our children for the future? This is what the schools must address now. The AI, artificial intelligence, is coming. By 2045, 45% of your current jobs are going to go away. It's not going to be there. So are we preparing them for the fourth wave, industrial waves is coming now? Are we preparing our children for the future? These are the things that is now more critical and valid. We now need to look that very objectively. We are going to have a crisis in our hands. There is an impending crisis. The ship is going to crash into the rocks. Politicians must realize 30 years from now look, Singapore is a good example. I'll tell you, Singapore doesn't have water. Singapore borrows water from Malaysia. But their leaders sat together and thought, what is the crisis that is going to affect them? And they realized it was water. And so today, Singapore is really the water hub for Asia, where they do training program, where they convert new water. They're thinking 30, 40 years from now. Countries which are progressive must think far ahead. Our intelligence must be able to predict and anticipate changes. That is what intelligence is all about. So we are a very robust, we have got excellent good people, but we must now synergize more. It's no more my race, my religion, it's our country. We must go back to that. I always tell people, one good example will be very simple. Look at all the countries that have natural disasters. Do you know everybody helps each other? Irregardless of religion, suddenly your hand is stretching up and helping others in natural disaster. Before disaster, they'll be fighting with each other. But during disaster, everybody starts helping. I think that's why it's called natural disaster, because disaster brings them back to their own nature. Disaster brings them back to their own nature. It's called natural disaster. Why do we wait for natural disasters to take place? We can be just as ordinary and normal as we can. People must now take action. Dr. Amir Farid's words are very important. It must be taken into account, and we must have an agenda. I think that now the Kerajaan has released the Dasar Pembangunan Negara dan sebagainya. Jadi kita rasa this is satu cara yang baik lah. Kita harus mempertahankan. Satu lagi, yang Yayasan Perpaduan Malaysia, which former chairman was Prof. Chandra Mustafa, and now they have asked me to take over, and I'm doing that. They have been very strong, the association very strong in promoting Rukun Negara. Rukun Negara, the first Rukun Negara is kepercayaan kepada Tuhan. Like Indonesia has the Pancasila. The whole Indonesia has doing that. We should be having that. That should be the backbone. So these are things that we must really seriously look at. Otherwise, the forum will just become another forum. It should become an agenda-driven forum to bring an awareness. Thank you. I talked too much, I think.
Thank you. No, thank you, Dr. Suresh. Very inspirational. At the beginning, you were like a poet, a mix of a poet and Martin Luther King. But later, you stated something that's very relevant. We need to look to the future. And one important point that you mentioned is, yes, religion is important, but it must manifest positively on every person. Yeah? I think that's something that is very powerful that we should emphasize. Prof. Mansor, the floor is yours, please.
All right. Okay. As I set up the slide, two things I want to say. I think before I go far, I think we need to understand why there are dissatisfaction, there are sense of deprivation, sense of discrimination in the country. Based on my study, actually, all this problem has no ethnic or religious dimension. Because to me, in Malaysia, there are 4 roots of problems. There are 4 roots, but we often presented it as a racial problem, as a racist, as racism, as a discrimination. Understand? Because to me, no. If we look properly, the problem is very, very administrative and bureaucratic. Example to me, number 1, you see, what we need is a just good government in managing our diverse society. We have diverse religious grouping, cultural grouping, linguistic grouping, regional grouping, and government, especially at the local level, need to come up with a very well-defined SOP in managing these differences. Because to me, when an Indian raised about their temple, it has nothing to do with racism, with Hindu, hard-headed Indian. No, they are talking about, if I die, where are my cemetery? Where are disease be burned, you know, and this kind of thing. I think we often tend to discuss this matter in terms of religious and ethnic differences. No, to me, no. Question of good governance, especially at the local level. Okay, the second thing, in Malaysia, the biggest problem around, to me, the first one is around 10 or 50%, and the second one is the biggest. We are dealing with development failure that produce social inequalities, growing gap between rich and poor, marginalization, the M40, the bottom 40, and then because development has brought economic growth that benefit the rich and powerful, they are tremendous development loser. And I think this is what our government should focus on, because to me, if development produce inequality and unequal distribution, there will be tremendous society. And it has nothing to do with ethnic, but it is true there are certain ethnic groups are affected, like the Malay in the rural areas, the Indian in the estate, or those who have moved out of the state to the urban areas because their home were developed as urban new growth centers and housing scheme, understand? But to me, this around 7% should affect our ethnic relation not because of our ethnic differences, of bad governance in delivering development. We have very small, around 2%, that look at ethno-religious differences as a problem that give rise sense of communalism, sense of anti other ethnic group. But those are very small. And we notice that during election time, the fourth group problem are raised, the contestation of the nation. Yet we know that the nation is well defined already, but there are contestation. But to me, contestation of nation by nation intent is very normal. But we should not go to the extent of denying the nation. To me, this is very important. Okay, in the next slide, I think based on those basically bureaucratic developments discourse that are basically influencing how we felt and then interpreted as ethnic and religious. To me, like what Reverend and even Suresh raised, I think we have to put forward the spirituality, piety, akhlak, morality, and the cultural good behavior in the society. Because nowadays we are this discourse being excluded because of progress being measured in prosperity, whether you have 10A, understand, what car you have, what houses you have. We forgot that the central to that is spirituality, akhlak, good character, and how to develop good behavior in the society. And this would develop what we call humanity at its best, sharing, supporting, and working toward peace and harmony. I think that's very important. Apart from that, the three things basically is to answer the previous root of problem. To me, with development, with economic growth, with urbanization, with like what Prof. Suresh and Reverend talking, globalization, actually our society is socially differentiated, and there emerge new political vision and norms. And I think this is where we those in power in government, the elders, they are holding the root, the authority of the nation should look into, because now people want justice, people want inclusivity, people want participatory democracy, they want good and integrity-based government and development, which is something that we should embed it in our movement. apart from the spirituality, piety, and akhlaq morality. The next time that a nation has always a shared history. And I think despite the diversity, the culture, the background, those things, I think we need to develop this. Because to me, we Malaysians are fortunate enough to have, irrespective of who we are basically, we have the culture of migration. Example to me, the Malays, we call it a perantau alam Melayu. Okay, which means that this part and parcel will be moving around, meeting one another, forming new form and those things. So Malay are very hyphenated ethnic group, and then that the Chinese, Indian, all those, they also have been moving around, and they have reside here, and their children are part and parcel of the nation. And I think we should be proud of that migratory perantauan culture that we have, and that we come from various diverse ethnic and religious origin, and this is something that needs to be embedded in us, because our nation now is no more multi-ethnic. It's not a plural society. It's not a multi-ethnic. It's no more a diverse society. It is super diversity nowadays. So, and then to me, the key to this is tolerance. Without toleration, without accepting one another, accommodating one another, and not imposing another, and I think we won't be able to develop a harmonious and a united nation. And to me, the constitution, the state constitution, the Rukun Negara, and now we have the national unity policy, national unity blueprint as a basis for us to ensure public policy, especially, and governance of the nation stay put to that foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Mansor. Was like giving a manifesto. Manifesto. So I would just call on, I think, the Jason Leong. Jason, are you there, Jason? Jason? Jason?
Yes, I can hear you. I am listening in. So
he was speaking.
very
no, Jason, okay.
Very interesting views. But one thing about Dr. Amir's point about social media is that it is correct. Social media is it can be very vicious, but at the same time, a lot of all this sentiment has already been there for many years. You know, because those negative sentiment is not a recent thing that it just came out because of social media. It has been there, embedded, ever since independence. You know, so if the Chinese get together and they become very racist, they make racist comment, ignoring that one lone Malay guy in the group, it happens. You know, so sometimes group of Malays do the same thing. The only problem with social media is that it is an echo chamber. It amplifies and magnifies a single comment. One single comment that is negative is repeated 10 million times in Malaysia, because everybody is on WhatsApp, and everybody who gets the thing, or either he forwarded it to another group and it goes round and round. So a single comment suddenly becomes very loud, when actually it is just a comment by one very small group, minor fringe group. But it's magnified, and everybody start posting it on the same Facebook, you know, everything else. So that becomes super loud. And then suddenly we feel that our relationship, in harmonious relationship, is under siege because of this kind of echo chamber. So I would agree with most of the speakers who say that I don't think we are on a downtrend. We are on the right track. A lot of us who are involved in this work of enhancing social cohesion, peace and harmony. I think we take heart that at everything that we do, the participation is there, and there is a good group of people who are trying to grab into the grasp and also wrestle with some of those inherent issues that we have. But we do need to take heart that America, as a society that has developed independent 200 over years, and we thought that racism is no more in America. But as you can see, in the past 2-3 years, racism is alive and well and furiously on fire in America today. So black people are not happy. The white people want to assert their supremacy, and they are. We make fun of Malaysia. We say that we always play up the triple R issue. America is the same now, except that they don't have the royal, so they also playing up the double R issue. So they are playing up the racial issue. They are also playing up the religious issue, as we can see in the Trump election campaign. The whole society is totally divided. So after 200 over years, they are still struggling with the issue. In fact, they are backtracking now. It becomes worse, and they are going into very violent situation. I mean, we are really blessed, despite the sparks of things that could have been very violent, but somehow we have that restraint. Our people are the more gentle people. That goes to credit to all the Malays and the Muslim. I thought we came very close to it when Adib died in Sumbangan. I think that was one of the closest, because I was there on the ground. So things were already going. It could have just sparked on, but somehow there was a lot of restraint on one side of the people, and the police was there on the ground and everything else. So nothing untoward really happened. It could have been very much worse, despite the fact. But America, as you can see in Portland, in Charlottesville, they have riots for 133 days, and the tens and thousands of people die, and that's it. To them, this is the new normal. So I think, in that sense, we are on the right track, but there is still a lot of work to be done. As you can see, all the panelists say, definitely every one of us need to put it together and do whatever we can, to make this a better country. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason, for a very good viewpoint. Positive, tough, a lot of things to do, but I think, inshallah, with the help of our prayers and a lot of good people around, we will have to make it work. Yeah, the world is now too small for anything but peace and harmony. So we have to do it. Dr. Syed Hussein, can you say something? I'll give you a minute, please. Dr. Syed Hussein?
Yeah, thank you very much, and Assalamu alaikum, and very good evening to everybody.
Salam.
Right, excellent discussions going on. I agree with all the speakers and those who comment. Thank you very much. But also agree to disagree. But anyway, as I'm normally my way to look into a very grassroots level and the practical part, it is true that we have to tie the politicians and politics. We have to tie the mass medias, and we have to tie the social medias. But before that, I'm thinking on my research is 3 people, very important 3 people. Those who are, number 1 is the religious leaders. Those who can bring us, like Prof. Mansor says, that is spiritual and moral development. If you look at any religions, that is the main focus on it. And number 2, I can say that the what we call the educationist. The education, our education system must work. must work hard, not only just doing research, right, and talking about concept and what do you call that, theories. And number three, we need to find people, those who are really concerned citizens. These three people, we need to work with. Now, if these three groups working hard, right, with a practical planning and with a very good system, rather than we just always discussing on the concepts and theories and research and things, we have to work and we have to influence these three groups with our whatever weapons that we have. We have the religion, which is really can change a person if really is working, and we have education, another one, and the other one is our concern and our really what we want, the harmony, right, and peace and harmony. We are talking about a long time peace and harmony. We talk about, I think even in the time of Hitler, there was a talk and discussion on peace and harmony. But what I'm talking about here is the practical part. So we need to influence the other group. For example, the politicians, the religious group, the spiritual leaders must have a system to talk to the approach and bring and train the politicians as well as the users of mass media, right? And as well as the owners of mass media, and as well as the users of those who are using the religious, what do you call that, the social media. And these and educationists, the education leaders, and as well as people there are a lot of leaders in the society, in every society. They have a lot of concern and they have a lot of experience, but they are not in the group of religious leaders, but they are not with the educationists. But in the middle, I think these three groups, if we can form and we do our best in a very bring out an excellent system to train the people, and definitely the public, the people that we are expecting, they will be understanding. They will understand what we really want to do in this world, right? That's one thing. The other one, really we need to practice rather than we need to put into the practical part, right? Bring out. I have a lot of experience on working with the society various way, right? That sometimes even these three group, the educationists, when they join with the politics, right, they will forget what they want. The religious leaders, when they join with the religious politics, they will forget what they want, and as well as the concerned citizen. With that, I hope you understand my concept and my worry, right? Where we should work, where we should start, and how we develop to bring this peace and harmony. Thank you very much. May God bless all of us, and may our intentions, become into the practical.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Said, for your views. As a conclusion, I think we'll give the panelists 1 minute each to conclude with Suresh.
Yeah. So anyway, the only thing that I would like to say, you can hear me clearly? Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
yes.
The only thing that I would like to say is again to reiterate that the Unity Council and the JKMPKA and the government and everybody else, I think this business of interreligious harmony should not be sidelined and looked at as an extracurricular activity. It should not be looked at that it is not an economically important activity. It should not be looked at something that is, okay, if there's anything else, then we can look at. Because if we don't seriously take this, you'll find that in a football game, why we have a referee is that if somebody is doing a playing foul, there's a referee that blows the whistle and says stops the game. Like that, if there's someone who's now disrupting the harmony, or some people trying to misunderstand the harmony, there must be systems in place to blow the whistle and say, okay, foul, that should not be said, or done, you should not say. This is what harmony is all about. We cannot expect everything to be harmonious, but when it is not going to have a harmony state, there must be some methods and mechanisms in place in order for the rectification to take place. So that's first system, that's first thing. Second is the sensitization of this aspect at the school level, college level, university level, in a very, very big way, so that people can properly understand. Thirdly, I think everybody, I feel the first leadership should be shown by all the religious leaders of all the religions. They should all sit down in one group and one table and discuss. And I find that many times when we discuss things, need not be on a religious issue. It just can be just common coffee, you know, just have a coffee with all the religious leaders and just commonly share, hey, why you all do this, and what is the reason for your, so understand that perspective in which they come. At least the religious leaders also can be very, very sensitively picking up these things so that they can transmit to their respective people, oh, this is why they do this. So that's where, because you are already addressing the congregation, if the religious leaders can also bring in the harmony, interfaith harmony, in the sense that this is why they do this, and this is why they do this, then you find there'll be greater for everybody together. So religious leaders have their roles to play, political leaders have a role to play. Everybody must now collectively get themselves to see, because if there's any disturbance in harmony, it will affect economy, it will affect productivity, it will affect the whole nation. So it should not be seen as a side subject or not as a main subject. And I think that is what we want to emphasize here, especially at the university level, college level. Every student must make sure that the aspiration for this interfaith harmony must be there.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh. I think that's important, and that is to a certain extent what we have been doing in JKMPKA. And it is no more there now, JKMPKA. We don't know what's happening. And even ACCIN, we have been trying to meet the Minister of Unity since July last year, and there's even no reply. We are totally sidelined. Don't know what's going on, and we have past experience where we work closely with the Minister of Unity to come up with works, projects, and then we have JKMPKA. And just by getting to know each other and understanding each other, half of the battle is already won. So it is something that we are still wondering. Dr. Amir Farid, please.
Okay. After listening to our friends, it is that Prof. Mansor already has what I would consider, you know, a blueprint or plan of what we should do. The next thing is this, right? So I think, you know, we should from there and how to implement it. I just want to make some suggestions, some small suggestions. There are already situations where somehow people of different races and religions automatically already forget the differences and are very harmonious together. This is when it comes to sports. All right, so you know, if there's any way that we can leverage on this fact when it comes to sport, people don't mind becoming friends straight away. Second is some sectors of business where the barriers are naturally already broken. For example, you know, I've noticed, you know, that there are some you know, MLM networking groups, and of different races, different religions, all mixing together. Of course, their main aim is their business, but you know, already because of the friendship or through sports, because of mutual interest in business, religious and ethnic tensions are after become friends. They know each other. They are close to each other through business. And on a lighter note, of course, there's also another group that's also, you know, don't don't care about the race or religion because they're already friends because of the same common interest, and that is in corruption and crime. Okay, so whatever race, religion, and so on, corruption or crime, you bagi, I terima, we are friends. All right, but of course we don't want we don't want that kind of thing. But that's my observation. These are some of the things, right, where naturally the race and religion factor. Lastly, when it comes to politics, we saw how from the data the politicians can influence the entire nation to think this way or that way, positively or negatively. As I've seen, while some parties to get votes, use the fear factor, but at the same time, right, when the situation changed and they formed coalitions, when past was with DAP, buddies, religion was not a factor to separate them, even though DAP was not is not a religious party, but I'm sure you all know, because all this one where the Islamic party use this race religion factor to justify why Muslims, Malays should only vote Muslim Malays, regardless of whether the leader is good or honest or trustworthy, because they can always repent. So this kind of justifications to justify their political agenda. So, but when the politicians decide that for greater good they can come together, then even race and religion divides disappear. So that's also one area that we have to look into. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amir Farid. Very thoughtful. I think, as you mentioned, we can see a nice blueprint here and some platform to move. Is it Unity Ministry, JKMPKA, even Yadim can play a role. These all well-funded organizations can really play a role in. Prof. Mansor, inshallah, the last your final words of the night, maybe just a minute, please. Prof, silakan.
Pengalaman saya lah, my experience with trying to understand the nation. The first thing that we should know that development, successful development, economic redistribution is one of the best formula to ensure there are ethnic and religious harmony in Malaysia. If we fail to manage that, there will be problem. There will be political mobilization of ethnic and religious due to the social inequalities and marginalization. And I think the onus now is on the government. The government of the day must ensure good governance and development be delivered, so that religious and ethnic dimension are not mobilized. And I think the most important thing, so we'll be talking so much about the politician, the leadership of the NGO, the media. I think Malaysia must have an act on the hate speech, hate crime. And all this law are implemented in India, in European countries, and all those. I think it's high time that we should penalize, especially the one that have the biggest voice. The powerful and the rich must be given top priority if they cross the line. And I think, and another level, I think the religious leader, I think we should be courageous, and even transcending our religious borders, to speak about the welfare need, to speak about the need for good virtue rather than materialistic and toxic characters being celebrated by the rich and powerful. I think we should voice it and should be courageous to say, hey, enough is enough, kan? And I think like what Prof. Suresh and most of you are doing, I think we need to have a more visible and increase our how religious leaders from various religious grouping are brought together to think about community development, about education, about giving input to public policy, so that we can reconstruct progress and solidarity in the countries. I think this is very important, because religious leader with your spiritual piety, akhlak, morality, and good culture base should be the basis, because if not, will be swallowed by the rich and powerful and the materialists and the Hinduism, the Hinduism, the culture of Hinduism, or what we call degenerated capitalist culture. In conclusion, I would say we should have this focus, that i.e. we must serving the needs of the people, and good virtue must be fundamental in our behavior as we are part of a super diverse society, in order for us to strengthen interreligious and stop politicizing religion. Thanks, that's all.
Thank you, Prof. Mansor. Fantastic conclusions by the member of the panels. It's Hinduism, not Hinduism. Nanti
no, not Hinduism, please, no.
Hinduism. So I would thank the member of the panels, those who have contributed, Prof. Mansor, Prof. Suresh, Dr. Amir, Farid, Dato' Chief, Maratna. I shouldn't be telling. I've traveled with Prof. Dato' Chief a few times, and we had some very interesting incidences. We have been to the Vatican before. We have been to Paris. It was a very, very eye-opening experience. Dr. Syed Hussein, Brother Jason Leong, as usual, a very strong proponent of this peace and harmony. My concluding remarks is the essential ingredients of peace is for us to look at each other as a human being, a creation of God. The problem arises when we look at them first as a rich, a poor, a black, and a white. If we can see through this lens that every person is a creation of God and human being, I think inshallah we will have that spirit of respect, love, concern, and harmony for itself. I mean, I have to repeat Gandhi's saying that there's enough for everyone's need, everyone's greed. Blessed nation, we should do our best, inshallah, help a better place, inshallah. Discuss today, I think we will formulate it, put it nicely in the form of action plan that we can probably submit to our friends, especially I would say in Perpaduan and other related agencies. That our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time and advice. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Okay.
So long.
Bye bye.
Okay. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye, Prof. Bye bye, Dr. Suresh.
Good night. See you again.
Thank you, Dr. Amir. See you, Syed. Dr. Mansor, Prof. Mansor. Thank you, Haji.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. And moderator.
Okay.
Round of applause for the moderator.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Assalamualaikum.